Have a good day. Polar bears, or their tracks, have been reported almost as far north as the pole. However, scientists believe few bears frequent areas north of 88 degrees north latitude on the ice over the continental shelf. The northern Arctic Ocean has little food for them. The polar bear's southern range is limited by the amount of sea ice that forms in the winter. Polar bears prefer to travel on sea ice and must have ice from which to hunt seals. In the south, polar bears are annual visitors to southern Labrador, Newfoundland, and Norway. They can reach the Gulf of St. Lawrence and Bering Sea during years with heavy pack ice. The most southerly dwelling polar bears live year-round in James Bay, Canada. The majority of polar bears are found near land masses around the edge of the polar basin, where the continental shelf makes conditions ideal for hunting. Scientists believe there are 15 relatively discrete polar bear subpopulations, 4 others are recognized for management purposes. A subpopulation is a group of polar bears that interbreed with a range independent of but overlapping that of other polar bears. For example, 2 subpopulations live in the James/Hudson Bay area, one in western Hudson Bay, and the other in northwestern Ontario and James Bay. Polar bears inhabit Arctic sea ice, water, islands, and continental coastlines. Polar bears prefer sea ice habitat with leads and polynyas, next to continental coastlines or islands. Leads are water channels or cracks through ice which may remain open, ice-free, for only a few minutes to several months, depending upon weather conditions and water currents. Polar bears hunt seals in the leads, using sea ice as a platform. Polynyas are areas of water, surrounded by ice, that remain open throughout the year due to winds, upwellings, and tidal currents. Polynyas are important breathing and feeding areas for wintering or migrating marine mammals and birds. Some polar bears follow the southern edge of the ice pack year-round, making extensive migrations as the ice recedes and advances. Some polar bears spend part of the year on land. They have been found as far inland as 402 kilometers, 250 miles. Polar bears in warmer climates may become stranded on land. In summer, sea ice melts along the coastlines, and pack ice, floating sea ice, or floes, not connected to land, moves so far north, that polar bears can't reach it, even though they are excellent swimmers. Most pregnant females spend the autumn and winter on land in maternity dens. Air temperatures in the Arctic average -34 degrees Celsius, -29 degrees Fahrenheit, in winter and 0 degrees Celsius, 32 degrees Fahrenheit, in summer. The coldest area in winter is northeastern Siberia, where the temperature has been recorded as low as -69 degrees Celsius, -92 degrees Fahrenheit. The warmest areas in summer are inland regions of Siberia, Alaska, and Canada where temperatures can reach as high as 32 degrees Celsius, 90 degrees Fahrenheit. The ocean temperatures in the Arctic are about -1.5 degrees Celsius, 29 degrees Fahrenheit, in summer. In winter the ocean temperatures can drop to -2 degrees Celsius, 28 degrees Fahrenheit, at which point seawater begins to freeze. Polar bears travel throughout the year within loose, individual home ranges. Home range size varies among individuals depending upon access to food, mates, and dens. Home ranges tend to be larger than for other mammal species because sea ice habitat changes from season to season and year to year. A small home range may be 50,000 to 60,000 square kilometers, 19,305 to 23,166 square miles. Small home ranges can be found near Canadian Arctic highlands. A large home range may be in excess of 350,000 square kilometers, 135,135 square miles. Large home ranges can be found in the Bering or Chukchi Seas. Polar bears don't mark their home ranges. Polar bears undergo seasonal migrations, following the movements of the ice pack. Some bears prefer to remain at the edge of the ice pack year-round, making extensive migrations as the ice advances and recedes. On the southern shores of Hudson Bay, some bears move onto land for summer and disperse over ice for the winter. Polar bears are capable of traveling 30 kilometers, 19 miles, or more per day for several days. One polar bear was tracked traveling 80 kilometers, 50 miles, in 24 hours. Another polar bear traveled 1,119 kilometers, 695 miles, in 1 year. The world polar bear population is estimated at 20,000 to 25,000 individuals. The ratio of males to females is approximately 1 to 1. 1972 estimates of polar bears ranged from 5,000 to 20,000 bears. The current, worldwide population of polar bears may or may not have increased from this estimate. More recently, some polar bear populations are declining due to loss of vital sea ice habitat. Little is known about hearing in polar bears. However, in-air polar bears probably hear at a slightly wider range of frequencies than humans, up to 25 kHz, but not as high as a dog. Humans can hear sounds with frequencies as low as 0.02 kHz and as high as 20 kHz, while dogs can hear out to about 35 kHz. Hub's SeaWorld Research Institute is part of a study on polar bear hearing involving polar bears from SeaWorld San Diego and the San Diego Zoo. Preliminary results indicate that polar bears may be specialized to communicate at low frequencies. The eyesight of polar bears appears to be similar to humans. Polar bears have a protective membrane over their eyes that may help shield the eyes from ultraviolet light. Little is known about a polar bear's sense of touch, however. Polar bears have been observed delicately moving or touching objects with the nose, tongue, and claws. Polar bears prefer certain foods, but researchers don't know how acute the sense of taste is or how important it is in food preference. A polar bear's sense of smell is acute, and it is the most important sense for detecting prey on land. A polar bear can most likely smell a seal from more than 1 kilometer, 0.6 miles, away and 1 meter, 3 feet, under the snow. Polar bears are most active the first third of the day and least active the final third of the day. In the Canadian Arctic, adult female polar bears with cubs hunt about 19% of their time during the spring and about 38% of their time during the summer. Adult male polar bears hunt about 25% of their time during the spring and about 40% of their time during the summer. When not hunting, polar bears are often sleeping or resting. From July to December in Canada's James Bay region, when lack of ice prevents seal hunting, a polar bear may spend up to 87% of its time resting. On warm days, polar bears sprawl out on the ground or ice, sometimes on their backs with their feet in the air. They may also make temporary snow or earthen pits to lie in. On cold days, polar bears curl up and often cover their muzzle area. During the winter, some polar bears excavate temporary dens or find natural shelters to stay warm. They may use these shelters for several months at a time. Like humans, polar bears have a plantigrade stance. They walk on the soles of their feet with their heels touching the ground first. Like other bears, they can also stand on their hind feet and walk upright for short distances. Polar bears generally walk with a steady, lumbering gait. The front paws swing outward with each step, landing slightly pigeon-toed. The head swings gently from side to side. The walk has a 4-beat pattern. First the right front foot touches the ground, then the left hind foot, then the left front foot, and lastly, the right hind foot. Their bulky build and swinging gait cause polar bears to use more than twice as much energy to move at a given speed than most other mammals. The average walking speed of a polar bear is 5.5 kilometers per hour, 3.4 miles per hour. When being chased or charging prey, polar bears can run as fast as 40 kilometers per hour, 25 miles per hour, for short distances. Polar bears are basically solitary. Usually, only 2 social units exist. Adult females with cubs. Breeding pairs. Polar bears may aggregate to feed on large whale carcasses and at dump sites. In some southern regions, like Hudson Bay, bears aggregate on land during the ice-free summer and autumn months, especially when they are staging along the coast waiting for the ice to return. On occasion, adult and subadult, ages 30 months to 5 or 6 years, polar bear males will feed and travel together for short periods of time. When not hunting, polar bears are often sleeping or resting. From July to December in Canada's James Bay region, when lack of ice prevents seal hunting, a polar bear may spend up to 87% of its time resting. Hibernating means to pass the winter in a dormant or lethargic state. Animals that hibernate store body fat when food is plentiful. When food is scarce, they hibernate, living off their stored body fat. Deep hibernation, or winter sleep, generally occurs in smaller mammals. In deep hibernation, an animal's body temperature can drop to a few degrees above freezing for a period of days or weeks. It is also characterized by a marked drop in heart rate and a decreased respiratory rate. Deep hibernators are slow to awaken. Humans may encounter polar bears wherever human and polar bear habitats overlap. With loss of sea ice habitat, polar bears are shifting their habitat to land areas, and humans may increasingly encounter polar bears as a result. This could be dangerous to humans since polar bears are large predators. Bear spray is a reliable defense and should be carried by people for protection in areas where they may encounter polar bears. Polar bear subadults and females with cubs attack most often. They're also the chief scavengers, among polar bears, of human dump sites. Both groups tend to be thinner and hungrier. Subadults are inexperienced hunters, and females with cubs must feed themselves and their young. The total gestation period is about 8 months. Gestation includes a period of delayed implantation. The fertilized egg divides into a hollow ball of cells 1 layer thick, a blastocyst, then stops growing and lies free-floating in the uterus for about 4 months. The blastocyst then implants in the uterine wall and continues to develop. Delayed implantation assures that the cub is born during the best time of the year for survival and allows the female to get into good physical condition and use her energy for nursing her newborn cubs. The actual embryonic development is estimated to be 4 months. Female polar bears have 4 mammary glands. Mothers nurse their cubs in a sitting position, or lying down on their side or back. During their first few weeks of life, polar bear cubs nurse most of the time and stay close to their mother to keep warm. For the next 3 or 4 months, the cubs nurse as often as 6 times a day. The length and number of nursing bouts gradually decreases as the cubs grow older. Mother polar bears nurse their cubs for as long as 30 months. Some cubs stop nursing as young as 18 months of age, but remain with their mothers for survival until they are 30 months old. The average fat content of polar bear milk is 33%, similar to the milk fat of other marine mammals. For comparison, human milk has a 3 to 5% fat content. Thanks for watching, and please like and subscribe. Bye bye.